Early morning hours of August 4th, 1892, Lizzie Borden is accused of killing her father, Andrew Borden, a wealthy banker, and his wife, Lizzie's stepmother.
And nobody still knows who did it, and people are still asking about it. People are still debating it.
I think there's just a natural appeal to this. I think people have always cared about this case. They've always been interested in this. I think it's never going to go away because no matter how deep you dive into this, you end up with more questions.
This house, what fuels its reputation is the savage murders that occurred here on August 4th, 1892. I firmly believe they imprinted on the house, I think is what you would call a haunting.
My name is Jack, and I am a tour guide here.
Fall River, Massachusetts, the beginning of Lizzie Borden. On August 4th, 1892, Abby and Andrew was murdered. Let's start with the parlor. When you first walk in, you see pictures of everybody who helped her be labeled as not guilty of the day of the trial. This room pretty much memorializes everybody who helped her. And she was very close friends with these people, which is one of the reasons why she got away.
These were the people who were railing for her to be innocent, saying there's no way but a Christian woman.
They also had a very, very biased jury, which led the judge to believe she didn't do it, and a lot of people were on her side that were in the town. Now let's go to the dining room.
Popularity here in the south end of the city, as she was very generous with the people that were struggling.
Lizzie, Abby, Andrew, and Emma all lived in their home alongside their maid, Bridget. The dining room was the only area in the home where quality time with the family was valuable. And this was the only time Lizzie and Emma pretty much talked to their stepmom, considering they had a bad relationship with her because, to their belief, she only cared about money, and there was a lot of tension between them. There was always arguments in the home, and they never got along. So Lizzie and Emma had to escape. But they loved their dad, they just didn't love their stepmom. Now let's go to the living room. The day Andrew Borden was hit in the head 8 times with an axe, it wasn't what people expected. People believed he wasn't meant to die that day, considering he got home early, and that day, by the looks of it, his body was wearing his shoes and his jacket.
Things I noticed is the living room the Halloween was murdered. Diabetics, sometimes their blood sugar will crash out, and it's always that room. In fact, we had 2 diabetics have their sugar crash out within minutes.
Which never happened when you got home from work. You normally take them off and then you lay down on the couch. This is the murder that Lizzie had to scramble to do. This was not expected to happen. It was only supposed to be Abby that day, and this is why this was the second body that was killed. This made things difficult and not planned out, and which made her more guilty to the public by how the body was laying and placed. Now let's go to the kitchen. There isn't much in the kitchen besides a screen dress that was found in the closet right next to the stove. The police were looking through the home and found this, and there was an odd stain on it that was blood that was all over the dress. Lizzie has never worn this dress out in public.
He had a lot of people working for him. No, he doesn't.
so she kept it in this closet. Even her seamstress backed her up the day.
Strangely, a strange number of them as well. I think there were a lot of them involved. Two people keep a secret if one of them is dead, right?
Her up the day of her trial, which helped her prove not guilty, even though, by the looks of the dress, it was the dress that she wore to murder her father. Let's move on to the upstairs where we can discuss more horrors of the Lizzie Borden home. Here is where the maid's bedroom is. Bridget, the longtime maid of Andrew Borden and the Borden home, she stayed here in the upstairs area and was kept hidden from everyone else. She was Irish, which caused a lot of problems in the home, considering Andrew didn't like the Irish.
His difference probably was Andrew had a lot of people working for him. No, he doesn't.
People believed she knew the murders was going on, considering the home is very small and tightly compacted. The upstairs bedroom. Abby was the first to be murdered the morning of August 4th, 1892. The most believed theory of how she passed away and was murdered was that Lizzie's uncle came to visit unexpectedly and left right after her assumed passing. This was very odd, considering Lizzie's uncle normally doesn't visit so often when he already visited that week prior. He also normally sends a letter out before he comes and visits them to let them know they're coming. Him randomly showing up, going upstairs, and then leaving hours later in a rush and in a hurry seems kind of odd. If you can see here, there was a fireplace behind Abby and Andrew's bed. This was pretty odd considering there is normally no fireplaces behind the bed, so this was believed that he went there to hide before Abby walked into the room. Abby's body was found underneath the bed, which also makes people assume that he was hiding under there and dragged the body after he was done.
In my opinion, it would be the Jennings room on the 3rd floor and the basement. The cellar has a certain level of eeriness to it.
In conclusion, this was the story of Lizzie Borden and the murders that happened the day of August 4th, 1892, in Fall River, Massachusetts. After doing 2 tours about this home and getting 2 different theories of what happened that day, I believed she did it, especially for the murder of Andrew Borden, because of the way the body was placed, and her green dress was found in the kitchen. The murder of Abby Borden, however, I believe was the uncle, because the witness reports of Lizzie Borden was upstairs and in her room during the times of the murders with her maid Bridget. Also, her uncle unexpectedly visited without sending them a letter or an advance like he normally does. What are your theories? Do you believe she did it?